Hi, this is your Auntie Alex, and I'm writing you a little note here to tell you how to set up a bullet journal for 2020 in less than 20 minutes. You'll need a blank notebook and a pen. I prefer something with a dot grid and something with numbered pages, but any notebook and pen will do. The key to a bullet journal is keeping things simple and easy to use every day. The first thing you'll want to do when you open to the new page, put in your name and contact info. If you lose this notebook, you'll want it to come back to you, so make sure that's done. The next two pages, you can set up a quick grid like this, or if you have a notebook that is intended as a bullet journal when they print them, sometimes the index is already there for you. This is going to help you find things more quickly in your journal as you fill it up. The next thing you'll want to do is fill out a key. This is great for when you're starting a bullet journal and you're not sure what all the symbols are, and you can give yourself a memory aid by putting them all right in the front there on the right hand side. I like on the left hand side to do a bit of a dot grid count so that I don't have to try and remember how many dots there are vertically or horizontally. If I want to set up a page with some boxes like a calendar or divide it into columns, I can easily see how many dots to use per row or column. On your key, the first item is the bullet. That's what gives the bullet journal its name. It's for a task that you need to do. So you put a dot and you write a description of the task, or in short form what the task is. When you start that task, you put a slash through it, and that shows that it's in progress. Once you've completed your task, you can put the other line through, and it makes a nice satisfying X to show that that particular task has been completed. If you have a task list that you're closing out, you can use the migration arrow to move something forward to your next list for the month or week. If you've given this job to someone else, the backwards arrow says that you've delegated this task. That way you can go back and follow up on things if you need to get back to that person. If you're migrating your task list to the next week or month and you decide you don't really need to do that after all, or you change your mind through the week or month, you can just strike out that task. And that just shows that it's canceled. It's better than erasing or blacking it out because you can still look back and see what it was you decided you didn't want to do. If you have special events or appointments, meetings, anything like that, I use the little triangle symbol. You can also use an open circle. That's the more traditional version. I find it looks too much like my messy task dots. Once you go to that event, you can fill in the triangle or circle, whichever you prefer to use. I like to do that since I often will put items in my calendar, but then won't actually go because there's only so many hours in a day. I only have so much energy to go to places. Sometimes I just, it's a maybe. This way you can see which ones you actually went to. So those are the main bullet journal symbols. I have a few that I use in my own, and you can add a few of your own as well. Try and keep it simple. I use an exclamation point when I have an interesting idea that I might want to follow up on. That way I can go back and look for those ideas. Some people also will do a brain dump page for each month where they will, anytime they have an interesting idea, they'll flip to that page. I prefer to just keep them in line on the day that I had the idea, and then go back later when I'm trying to remember what it was. I also use a little heart symbol for when something nice happens. I have a good memory. I enjoy spending some time with some people. I'll put a little heart so that I can go back and recall those fond memories and see what happened when. One of the most common ones that I use in my journal, other than the task, is the note. It's a dash, and I use that for something that doesn't need to be followed up on. It's not a task, but it's something that I just want to put down to remember. So, I went grocery shopping, or I ran into so and so at the mall, or anything like that where I just like to have a few long form entries where I'm just, talking about how I slept or anything like that. It's more of a hybrid long form style that I use, with a bullet task list, either in body if it's a lot of tasks, or on a sidebar if I just have a few things to do. The next page should be a future log. Some notebooks will come with a future log in them or calendar in them. There's a few different ways you can do this. You can use a standard calendar, so, cut and paste 6 months of little mini calendars along the top, and then underneath write in the date for whatever appointments that you have. The point of the future log is in your regular calendars as you're going through your journal, you're just going to have a monthly log and then your daily log. So anything that's not happening this month, if you have a doctor's appointment, if you have a special event, if you're going somewhere for a week or for a weekend, anything that's not happening this month goes into that future log. So it's your long-term calendar. And I prefer to do no more than 6 months per page. So as you can see here, you can copy a little image or cut out a little image of a calendar and stick it in. You can also get stickers for the months of the year. You could get stamps to make the calendars, and then just fill in your events below that. And I would do maybe 6 months at a time across the top. January to June on one 2-page spread, and then July to September on the next. I tend to divide my calendar into summer and winter because I'm much more busy in the summer months. Every weekend I usually have some sort of festival or camping event that I'm going to. On the right side here you see the Alistair method, which is a bit more simple, and takes a lot less time to set up than trying to find calendar stickers or drawing in any kind of calendar. You can just do 6 columns with the names of the months, and have a column for the description, and then put a dot in the correct month as you add an item to the log. I'm not the biggest fan of this because when I start my new month, I like to import everything from that month from the future log, and if the months aren't separated, I would find that hard to focus on. I have ADHD. I'm very visual, so I like my months separate in my future log. But if you just want a quick setup, this might be a great way for you. Another way to do this would be just to have the numbers down the side vertically, and then your months across the top in columns, and you could add in the items for each month, so you'd have a separate column for each month, which makes it more separated visually than the Alistair method. For your monthly calendar, you can have a standard calendar, or you could use a sticker or glue one in if you wanted to, if you prefer that kind of visual calendar. I tend to prefer the bullet journal style calendar where it's just a line per date. So you write, if there's 31 days in January, I would write the numbers 1 to 30 either down the left hand side of the page or down the center of the page. And then I would write the initial for the day of the week down it as well. Obviously, when you start the month, you'll import anything from your future log, from your Facebook events, from your Google Calendar, put everything in that calendar. This is simple. It takes very little time, and you can make it a bit more visual by highlighting the weekends. I like to do that. It makes the calendar very easy to read and breaks it up a little bit. You can get fancy and use nice colors, but really you can even use a light gray marker, keep it monochrome if you don't like it too busy. And then you would just put in your appointment, the little event triangle with the time and whatever the appointment is. It makes it very simple to track. So you can do this type of calendar on the one page, and then on the other side of the page you could put in habit trackers, mood trackers. I do a cleaning bingo spread to track what I've cleaned around the house in the month. I just have a printable that I made in Excel with all of my weekly and monthly tasks. Another good thing to do is your goal for the month. So yes, you could add a habit tracker. That's great if you want to track your medications or something. A mood tracker. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but some people do like to pick a color or a symbol or something for each day in a block down the calendar, and then fill that in as they go for the day to show their mood visually. My cleaning spread is more of a bingo, and it has a weekly and a monthly section. Whenever I have some time to do some cleaning around the house, I'll take a glance at that and see what I haven't done in a while. It also allows me to flip back to the previous month and see maybe what I didn't get done, and see maybe what I didn't get done in the last month. Goals are really important on a monthly spread. If you do out a plan for the new year of what you want to accomplish, I recommend the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method in the bullet journal book. Each month you can have a goal or a target or something important that you want to accomplish. And if you put that in your monthly spread, whenever you're checking off your trackers, you can see that goal and remember to add something to your day that works towards that. And don't forget, add that new month to your index. You'll thank yourself later. Now the meat and potatoes of your bullet journal is your daily log. This doesn't have to be a fancy weekly spread. In fact, most of the planner videos you see out there that are Bujo videos show drawing fancy spreads for each week, and that does not come from the bullet journal method. It's lovely, and if you want to do that for your artistic satisfaction, you can, but a daily log is much simpler. You just put today's date up at the top of the page, and you start logging. Write down the things you need to do today. I do that every morning when I get to work, while my computer is booting up and I'm getting ready for the day. I open up, I check off my trackers and my monthly log to remind myself, if I haven't already, to take any medication or vitamins I need to take. And then I go to my daily log. I'll finish off anything from the last night that I didn't check off, or if I did anything right before I went to bed that I want to follow. And I start the new day. While everything is getting set up and I'm drinking my coffee, I take a look at what needs to be done, write a few things, and as I go throughout the day, if I think of something I need to do later that night or the next day, I just add it to my list, and it helps me to keep on track. So you can just add things in, use the different symbols. Having this kind of daily log and to-do list is really helpful. And it lets you sort of prioritize what needs to be done first or not done as well, because you can just get all of the things you have to do out of your brain onto the paper and then look at them and see what's most important. So when you start a task, I drafted that email, I'll show that I started it, but I haven't finished it. That way I know, maybe after my coffee break I need to go back and do that. Like I mentioned earlier in the key section, if I have an interesting idea, I'll put it right in there. I tend to keep this spread open with me at my desk, just so if I think of something, I can write it down and not forget it for later. The bullet journal method that was created by Ryder Carroll is very useful for people with ADD or ADHD, or any kind of issues where they have trouble getting things started or organizing your thoughts. Ryder Carroll himself has ADHD, and the method is adapted from what he used personally for years. When I do my personal spreads, I tend to have a sidebar as well, because I'll just sort of write a line down the page, 6 boxes in, where I can maybe have a shopping list, so things I need to pick up at the store, where I can sort of see them easily, just like that. I might also, at the bottom of the page, or the bottom of that sidebar, write the next few days. So I'll put a little Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or something at the bottom, in case it's a busy week and there's appointments that I want to remember without flipping back to my monthly. This is really an adaptation. The original bullet journal method looks just like on the left-hand side of the page. I like to have it a little bit more visual and organized in sections, because I'm a very visual person. But this is basically what my day-to-day page will look like, and it has for the last few months. I've gone through periods where I have done weekly setups in artistic ways, or I've just written a line a day when I was first journaling to get into the habit of doing it every morning. And you don't have to start big. You can start just by taking 5 minutes every morning, write one line, and then don't look at it until that night or the next morning, just to get into the habit of doing it every day. But once you start using it and see how useful it can be, especially if you have any kind of executive dysfunction or attention issues, it really helps me to focus While I'm having my coffee, write out all those things I need to get done, and then pick one that needs to get done first. And that's pretty much it. You use your daily log every day, and if there's a major thing that's going to take more than a couple days, a major project, open to the next 2-page spread and start what's called a collection. I did this for planning my New Year's Eve party, for example. I just had a 2-page spread of all the things that had to be done. We were all the shopping lists, everything like that. It stayed in that collection, so that I wasn't having to, move things to the next day or anything like that. I could just have it right there in that one spot. Put a note of it in the index as well. And then anytime I need to go back to it, it's there. I do that as well if I have anything else. So this is what it looks like. I've added my collection here. A dinner meal master list is the one collection I've put in my last 2 journals. I have a list of all of my dinner meals I do regularly. So here's a quick view of what your journal could look like. Very, very simple. So you can definitely start one of these in less than 20 minutes. If you do, let me know how it's going and how you're progressing. Thanks so much for watching this, and let me know if you found it useful. Bullet journaling is something that has really changed how effective I am in getting things done in my life. It has helped me keep my house far tidier. It has helped me organize things so that I could apply for jobs and succeed at that. So make a list, break down those goals into steps, and use your journal to get the life that you want this year. Hope you all have a great day. Love, your Auntie Alex.